We're going to dismantle this old wardrobe. It's 30 or 40 years old, kind of broken, and takes up way too much space. It'll really help in our project to modernise this old flat. We're going to start by removing the doors. It took about 30 seconds before the wardrobe realised what was happening and tried to take me out instead, but I survived. So I figured it'd be best to start from the top and work our way down. As you can see, it is super dusty up here. Something I learned is that this wardrobe has a deceptively large amount of screws to remove. More on that in a bit. And by the way, yes, that's an Artex ceiling, and yes, it disgusts me to my core as well. It was a mystery discovering which screws made things happen. I had no idea what the purpose of this panel was, I just saw screws and hoped. Once it was off, you could really see how the decades had deteriorated the exposed wood compared to this unexposed rectangle. Eventually, I removed enough that this trim came loose. Next, it was time to remove the coat rail. I was curious if somehow it was part of the structural integrity of the wardrobe, but in the end, it turned out to just be a regular old coat rail. Alright, so we've been patient enough, let's remove the tape. I was half hoping it would all just neatly fall to pieces after that, but sadly not. Hadn't thought to look behind the wardrobe, but there were some secret screws back here as well. I also started noticing a lot of nails, which made my heart sink a little. This middle section looked like it was holding stuff up, so it's time to take it out. Learned my lesson from the door and took the bottom screws first instead of the top ones for safety. Finally, I was starting to see some progress. The wardrobe is actually two pieces, and I could feel it starting to concede. I figured there might be some integral screws beneath the wardrobe, so decided to risk it all and carefully turn it onto its side. There was a secret second panel underneath, and now it was clear these two panels were there to keep the two wardrobe pieces together. Once that was gone, the two pieces finally came apart. It was time to remove the feet, which I thought would be easy, but no, they would not come off. Also, there was this one screw that was just the worst. I think the wardrobe channeled all its malice into this one screw because it took me a solid 20 minutes of elbow grease to get it off. I wanted to do this the right way and be as non-destructive as possible, but I'd learned something. The carpenter who'd put this together had cheated. Glue and nails lurked within, which I was really hoping wasn't the case, but oh well. I had to bring out the jigsaw. Gotta admit, it was cheaty, but it was definitely satisfying how quickly the jigsaw worked. The back came right off, and I'd removed enough now that with a little bit of nudging, I separated the bottom piece too. The next hour or two just involved cutting all the pieces into smaller and smaller parts. After doing the same motion over and over, we finally got the huge wardrobe into a more manageable format. I tidied everything up, and I gotta say, the room is so much brighter, airier, and more spacious without that dated and unnecessarily large wardrobe in it. With that task out of the way, we can move on to our next steps in modernising this old flat. So subscribe if you'd like to follow along with the progress.